Okay, so good afternoon, all of you. Welcome to this lecture of Applied Thermodynamics. So up to this point, I have completed chapter condenser. I have completed the chapter reciprocating air compressors. So both were the part of the one big system that is the theme of your subject, steam power plants. Okay. So another part of that steam power plant we are going to study now, that is called as boilers. Okay. So before that, very important thing here that about the attendance. Though the strength of your class is around 63, 64, 40 students are present here now. So the thing is that some of you may be seated with their pen and notebook. Some are doing some other work and side by side they are watching lectures. Some are like just they are logged in and they have kept the mobile aside. There are numerous cases we as a faculty we know that, but the thing here is it is that how much serious are you about your career? Okay, so there are two things. First is vision. So do you have a vision about yourself? How do you see yourself in next upcoming 5 years? So why I said 5 years? Because 3 years for your graduation and after plus 2 years. So that vision you should have. So most of the students lack that vision. They don't think what they will be in next coming 5 years. So this is called like short-term goals, then long-term goals, etc., etc. Another thing here it is the willpower. So if you have vision, how much willpower you have to achieve that goal. So that also decides your attitude. Okay. So my urge or request all of you to kindly give attention to these two things about your vision and about your willpower. Okay. So ultimately it will help you and it will make your attitude very good about your academics. Okay. Right. So this is a chapter number 3, performance of boilers. So we already aware of this thing which is called a boiler. So की आपल्याला विंटर सीजन असतं. विंटर सीजन मध्ये काय काय ठिकाणी बॉम्ब पेटवतात. बॉम्ब मध्ये काय करतो आपण, लाकडं त्यात जाळतो आणि लाकडातून जी हीट बाहेर पडते त्यातून आपण काय करतो, पाणी गरम करतो. Another thing we call it the heater, which is now day to day it is essential. पाणी गरम करण्यासाठी आपण काय करतो, हिटरचा वापर करतो. ते आंघोळीला असेल किंवा स्वयंपाकासाठी असेल किंवा स्वयंपाक करण्यासाठी आपलं इलेक्ट्रिक केटल देखील असतात. The thing here it is, what is the difference between the heater and the boiler? Okay. Now heater, its function is to increase the temperature of the fluid. So it is actually adding some sensible heat to that fluid. जसं की वॉटरचं टेम्परेचर सुरुवात समजा 40 डिग्री सेल्सिअस असेल. So what heater will do, it will increase this temperature to let us say 50 or 60 degrees Celsius. So it will add sensible heat to the fluid. And what is a boiler? In boiler, boiling takes place. So what is a boiling? So that water is heated to its boiling temperature. What is the boiling temperature? Temperature at which the liquid changes its phase to the vapor. So at 1 bar atmospheric pressure, water is heated. If it reaches the temperature of 100 degrees Celsius, it will convert it into steam. So that is the boiling phenomena, and that instrument or the system will be called as boilers, right? This is the basic difference between a heater and a boiler. Okay. So one student has given his roll number, Dada Shinkate. So I have not asked your roll number. Okay. At the end of the lecture, I will take the attendance by myself. No need to put your roll numbers in the chat box. Okay, understood? So what is the syllabus for this chapter? First is classification, second is silent features of high pressure boilers, third is evaporation, equivalent evaporation, boiler efficiency, heat losses in boiler plant, and heat balance. These are the points which will be covered. In first point, we'll see what is a boiler, then we'll see what is the types of the boilers, how boilers are being classified. And the second part we'll see what is the heating phenomena inside the boiler, how the water will be converted into steam, how much heat is being involved, what are the heat losses, and how ultimately how to calculate boiler efficiency. That will we see. Okay. One more thing here I want to point out that there are some professional courses for the boiler attendant. Okay, so this is very commonly used equipment in many of the industries. So industry need this boiler attendants. For that, some 6 months diploma or short-term course is there. Those having that certification, they can apply for the boiler attendants or boiler technicians in many big industries, right? So that was about the certification about the boiler attendant or boiler technician. Okay, now we'll start the chapter. So first I will introduce about the boilers, right? So the two important area of application of thermodynamics are power generation and refrigeration. So whenever I say thermodynamics, there will be two things involved. Either we are dealing with the power generation or we are dealing with the refrigeration. So both power generation and refrigeration are usually accomplished by a steam that operates on a thermodynamic cycle. So for power generation, steam is essential, and in some cases of refrigeration also steam is required. So if I talk about the air conditioning is not only limited to cooling. Air conditioning also involves heating. So in European countries, their temperature is very less, so they refer to it as a heating system. In that case, they use the steam for heating the environment, indoor environment. So thermodynamic cycles can be divided into two generation categories. So depending on the application, there will be different thermodynamic cycles. So if I'm talking about power cycles, the power cycle basically we start with the Carnot cycle, which gives maximum efficiency. Then we have Otto cycle, then we have diesel cycle, then we have Rankine cycle. Second, depending upon the application, if I'm going with the refrigeration, then I have refrigeration cycle. So we have vapor compression cycle, we have vapor absorption cycle. So various cycles or thermodynamic cycles are involved in the refrigeration also. So the devices or system used to produce a net power output, often called as engines. So you are now dealing with the chapter called IC engines. So an engine is nothing but a heat engine. It is referred as heat engine. Heat engines are the one. So you also studied the first law or the second law. You also studied the heat engine is nothing but it takes the heat from a high temperature source. It converts some part of it into useful work, and rest is term as heat loss, and it is released to the sink, low temperature sink. So devices or systems used to produce a net power output are often called as engines. We as a mechanical engineer, we always deal with engines, refrigerators, okay, and the thermodynamic cycles they operate on are called as power cycles. Okay, power cycle, this can be Carnot cycle, this can be Otto cycle, or this can be diesel cycle. So various cycles are there for the power cycles. Next, the devices or system used to produce refrigeration are called as refrigerator, comma air conditioner or heat pumps. And the cycle they operate are called as refrigeration cycles. Okay. So why I'm giving this introduction? So the chapter is boiler, but still I'm going to give you some overview of the thermodynamics. So if I'm dealing with the thermodynamics, there will be either power generation or there will be refrigeration. So that's why I told you in first two lectures of this subject that this subject forms a very basis for the subjects like IC engine, refrigeration, heat and mass transfer. Okay. So thermodynamics, if you study the basics are perfect, then you will understand the subject like IC engine, or you will understand the subjects like refrigeration and air conditioning. So this basics, what you are going to study here in second engineering, will surely help you in grasping the things in the advanced topics very easily. Now we'll see what is the theory behind the producing steam. Now we, as a it started with your second chapter actually, properties of pure substances. From that points onward, you have been hearing this word steam. So you might have studied the steam tables also. You might have studied how to calculate enthalpy or wetness or the entropy of a steam. So steam, how we generate that we'll see in short. So this figure itself explains a lot. So see here, what you see at the center, this is a boiler. Okay. A boiler has some fuel line, so fuel will come inside, and then there is a combustion. So combustion takes place, it releases some heat, and inside that there is water. So water will absorb the heat and it will convert it into steam. Okay. Remember this, these are not open to each other, otherwise there will be no fire. So there is this tubings are provided, fire is taking place inside the tubing, and from that tube the heat is transferred to water, water is converted into steam, and then that steam is supplied to the next turbine. Again, this water is supplied with the feed water pump. Okay. So see here, water and steam are typically used as heat carriers in heating and heating systems. Okay. It is well known that water boils and evaporates at 100 degrees Celsius under atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure, roughly, I will take it as a 1 bar. So if I'm talking about 1 bar pressure, if I boil the water under 1 bar, in that case, it will be evaporated, or it will boil, or it will be converted into steam at 100 degrees Celsius. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, so next point here is by higher pressure, water evaporates at higher temperature. For example, a pressure of 10 bar equals an evaporation temperature of 184. What it means, if I keeping the volume constant, okay, if I keeping the volume constant, in that case, pressure will be directly proportional to the temperature. That means if I increasing the pressure, as the pressure will increase, its evaporation temperature, that is a Tsat, that will also increase. Okay. So this case is generally observed in hilly regions. If you go in the mountain regions, Himalaya, or other any hilly regions, in that case, what happens? Their pressure value is very less. Pressure reduces at this mountain levels. So what happens there? If you start boiling water in mountain regions, what happens? The T saturation, or the temperature at which water will boil, that temperature is much below than 100 degrees Celsius because the pressure is less. So pressure is below 1 bar, so temperature will be also below 100 degrees Celsius. If you increase the pressure in another case, like in pressure cooker or in boilers, in that case, what will happen? T saturation will also increase. Right. Next, during the evaporation process, pressure and temperature are constant, and a substantial amount of heat are used for bringing the water from liquid to vapor phase. Okay, so in this process, inside the boiler, pressure as well as temperature both are constant. So the boiling takes place at constant pressure and constant temperature. So when all the water is evaporated, the steam is called dry saturated. The steam is called dry saturated. So those who are very regular in these lectures, they have attended the lectures from the second chapter, they know easily, or they can identify this situation of dry saturation. Okay, so quickly I will draw this diagram for temperature versus entropy. There you have studied the diagram for phase change. Okay, so if I starting with the suppose liquid, right, I will increase its temperature, its entropy will also increase, and at one point I will reach to the T saturation or saturation temperature. At this point, what will happen? Phase change will take place at the constant temperature. So this is nothing but the latent heat of evaporation or vaporization. So this is applied. It comes a point here. So here at this point, dryness fraction is 0. Here at this point, dryness fraction is 1. So again, from this point onwards, so this situation here, it is referred as dry saturated. Okay. This whole line, horizontal line is saturation line. But if you are standing here, this is dry saturated, and this is simply we call it as a saturated. Okay. Or we also call it as a liquid saturated. So from this point onwards, it is converted into dry steam. Now the steam, its temperature will again rise. So this is a phase change diagram for steam, right? Here what is saying, when all the water is evaporated, the steam is called as dry saturated. So all this region, it is called as superheated. Actually, this is a superheated region. And this situation is called as dry saturated. Okay. Next here, the steam boiler or the steam generator is connected to the consumer through the steam and the condensate piping. So whatever steam see here in this diagram, it is coming from this pipe. Okay, it is next connected to the turbine, right? Next it will connect it to the generator. So there is this turbine is there, their work is being done, the shaft rotates, it is connected to the generator. Inside the generator, electricity is generated. Okay. When the steam is provided to the consumer, it condenses. So after it is being utilized inside the turbine, the next stop for the steam will be condenser. Inside the condenser, this steam will be condensed. It can then be returned to the feed water tank. So again, from feed water tank, with the help of feed water pump, it is supplied to the boiler. Okay, so this is the process of converting water into steam. There is a latent heat which is being involved into this. Water is converted into dry saturated steam, and then afterwards it is converted into superheated steam. Okay, so please understand this concept here only. Many students don't get this concept of latent heat, and afterwards they scratch their heads that how is it possible or what is happening, I can't understand. Right, so get it understood here, because this is very important concept here of phase change. Okay, if you understand how it is changing its phase from liquid to vapor, what is the latent heat, what is a dry saturated, what is liquid saturated, what is superheated, what is subcooled. If you understand these terms, then only you can proceed further, and then you will grasp the things very easily. If you don't understand these things at this stage, okay, further it will be very difficult for you to grasp. So please, if you have a doubt, please ask. Or you can put into chat box also. I am ready to help here. Right. So next point here, it is a steam power plant. Okay, so first I will explain about steam power plant, then we will go towards the boiler. Now, what is a steam power plant? So mechanical power is produced by the heat engine that transforms thermal energy from combustion of fuel into rotational energy. Okay, so if you see the diagram here, this diagram, in this diagram, see here, there are four major components. First is boiler, then we have turbine. So this is actually a turbine. Then there is a condenser, then there is a pump. So what is happening here in this case? So you have studied this heat engine in second law of thermodynamics. So there is this source is there at higher temperature. So heat is supplied, that is a QH, to a heat engine. It takes the heat, some part of it is converted into work, and the remaining part is, or that QL is sent to the sink. Sink means at a lower temperature. This you are studied in second law of thermodynamics. Similar approach is applied here. In the boiler, the heat is supplied, that is a QH. Then work is produced in the turbine, so that is the W. Here it is QH, and remaining part it is being released into the condenser, so that is a QL. So here in this case, mechanical power is produced by heat engine that transfers thermal energy from combustion of fuel into the boiler into rotational energy. Rotational energy means rotation of the shaft. Second, heat generated in the furnace is transmitted to the boiler, where water forced into the boiler by the feed pump is converted into steam. So water is supplied with the help of feed water pump to the boiler, and then it is converted into steam. Okay. So why we need feed water pump? See, condenser is at lower pressure. So the pressure inside the condenser is low. It is sometimes equal to atmospheric, sometimes it is even below atmospheric, right? And pressure inside the boiler is high. So this is a high pressure side. So in order to increase the pressure from low to high, we are using pump. Okay, so why we are using pump? We cannot use compressor here. Okay, so there is a basic difference between pump and compressor. Pump is used for only liquids. Compressor is on other hand, it is used for only gases. Okay, so we are using pump here. It increases its pressure from condenser pressure to boiler pressure. Then it is supplied to the boiler. Next, steam is generated in a boiler, expanded in the prime mover. Prime mover means you can take any work producing device. Here in this case, we have turbine, and condense in the condenser and fed into the boiler again. So this is the process what is happening in a steam power plant. Next, a steam power plant using steam as working substance works basically on Rankine cycle. Okay, so this steam power plant, this whole theme of your subject. So already I told you in first chapter, subject name is not thermodynamics. Its name is applied thermodynamics. You are going to apply the concepts of thermodynamics into a steam power plant. So you are going to study a steam power plant. You are going to study various components of steam power plant, and then you are going to study the performance of the efficiency inside a steam power plant. So this steam power plant works on the Rankine cycle. Now this is very detailed schematic diagram. So previously only 4 components were there: boiler, turbine, condenser, and feed water pump. This is much more detailed view of the steam power plant. Okay. So how to understand this? I will tell you in very easy manner. See, there are 4 circuits here. Okay. So first circuit here, it is a coal ash circuit. Coal ash circuit. What is happening here? Coal is taken as a fuel inside the boiler. The coal is used to generate the heat. It is then converted into ash. That ash is been taken out with the help of ash handling unit to the ash storage. So this is one circuit here, coal ash circuit, right? Next here we have air circuit. So fresh air is taken from the atmosphere. It is supplied to the air preheater. Then it is supplied to the boiler. In that case, what is happening? This air gets mixed with the coal. There is oxidation takes place, and the heat is generated. So in that case, what happens? Some very small particles of the coal gets mixed with the air. We call them as the flue gases or the after combustion gases. These gases are called as flue gases. These are being taken out, and then it is supplied through superheater, economizer, and air preheater. So there is this another circuit of air and flue gases. Now next circuit here we have cooling water circuit. So in this case, cooling tower will supply cooling water to the condenser. Inside the condenser, cooling water will absorb the heat from the steam. Its temperature will increase. So hot water again supplied to the cooling tower. So there is this cooling water circuit. And the last and very important circuit here, it is a steam circuit. So from boiler, steam is supplied to the turbine. From turbine, that steam is supplied to the condenser. From condenser, it is supplied to boiler feed pump. From boiler feed pump, it is supplied to the boiler through economizer. Okay, so there are four major circuits here. One is core ash circuit, second is cooling water circuit, third is air flue gas circuit, and fourth is steam circuit. Okay, so there are other components which are shown here. One is air preheater, then there is economizer, then there is a superheater. Okay, in case of coal, there is a coal storage, there is a coal handling plant. This coal comes from the train. Okay, so wherever there is a thermal power station, so it has separate railway line, right, and a separate माल what we call it as मालवाहू ज्या गाड्या असतात त्या गाड्यामध्ये कोल हा त्या पॉवर स्टेशन पर्यंत नेला जातो. Then that is being stored into cold storage, coal handling plant. In that case, big coal rocks which are crushed into the smaller ones. Then it is fed to the boiler. Then we have ash which is coming after the combustion. That ash is being taken off, ash handling plant and ash storage. This ash is sometimes used for the producing agriculture products, right? Okay. Now, what is the Rankine cycle? So I mentioned earlier that steam power plant works on Rankine cycle. So this is a practical way of working of a heat engine. So I will draw the graph for it. If I draw like temperature versus entropy, yeah, it will look like this. So this is a Rankine cycle here. This 1 to 2 process. Actually, there are two pressures are involved. Lower is a condenser pressure, higher is boiler pressure. So this pressure is increased with the help of pump. So this is a pump. 1 to 2 is a pump process. 2 to 3 is a boiler process. Inside the boiler, first temperature is increased up to T saturation. Latent heat is added. Then it is converted into dry saturated. Afterwards, it is converted into superheated steam. This is a boiler process. 2 to 3. Next, from 3 to 4, it is a expansion process inside the turbine. So this is a expansion process, reversible adiabatic process. That is why it is a constant entropy process. Again, 4 to 1. So here it is a turbine. Inside the turbine, work is being produced. Again, 4 to 1 is here it is a condensation. So it takes inside the condenser. So this is a Rankine cycle. So there will be some numericals for you in the chapter number 4, that is a vapor power cycle. So draw it. Okay. The next point here in the introduction will continue. We'll see what is a boiler here. Okay. So this image at your right on your screen, that is a boiler. There is an actual image of boiler. This boiler is being transported somewhere and it is yet to be painted. Right. So boiler is a closed vessel in which the heat produced by the combustion of fuel is transferred to water for its conversion into steam at the desired temperature and pressure. So I want you to write down this definition. It's very important. It covers all the aspects of the boiler. Boiler is a closed vessel in which the heat is produced or the heat produced by the combustion of fuel is transferred to water for its conversion into steam and at the desired temperature and pressure. This term is very important, at the desired temperature and pressure. This desired temperature and pressure will be decided by the power plant engineer, that how much pressure should be there inside the boiler and what is the outlet temperature of the steam which is coming from the boiler. Broadly speaking, the boiler is device used for generating first steam for power generation. So that is the basic. Boiler is used for steam for power generation. Second, hot water for heating purpose. Hot water for heating purpose. Now next here, this slides gives you an idea about what are the applications of the steam boilers. Okay. So first one here, agriculture, then animal food industry, bakeries, cement industry, okay, dairies, distilleries, okay, food processing, chemical industry, electrical industry, glass fiber, hospitals, paper industry, pharmaceutical industry, plastics, metalworking, print offices, steel works, tank farms, vulcanization, waste disposal, waste incineration, and slaughterhouses. So very commonly used application that we know, that is a sugar industry. And thermal power stations. In both cases, we are using the boilers. So if you get chance to visit the nearby sugar industries, please go and watch for boilers. There, the technician will explain you how that boiler works or how it is being utilized. So this is a how the boiler looks commercially. This is a cylindrical shell. Inside the shell, there are tubes. Then there will be a provision for water inlet, and then there will be provision for the steam outlet. Okay. So what you see here, this is a cylindrical shell. This is actually a blower. Air is blown inside the boiler. This is a control unit. Then these are the pressure gauges, pressure temperature gauges. Okay. So what are the primary requirements of the boiler? The primary requirements of steam generators or boilers are: the water must be contained safely. That means water inlet and the water circulation inside the boiler, that should be contained safely. There should not be any mixing of water with the fire or the whatever the combustion part is there, they should not be mixed together. Then the steam must be delivered safely in the desired condition as regards its pressure, temperature, and quality and required rate. So that has to be controlled very precisely. Again, that material used for the construction of boiler should withstand that pressure, right? If it fails to withstand that pressure, it may explode and that may cause very serious casualty inside the thermal power station. Right? So that was the two major objectives. Now we'll see how boilers are being classified. So below is the classification of boilers. These are maybe classified as under horizontal boiler, vertical boiler, or inclined boilers. Okay, depending on their position, they are classified as this. That is A. Second is fire tube and water tube boilers. So what is a fire tube? What is a water tube boiler? That we'll see in upcoming slides. Third is externally fired and internally fired boilers. Externally means externally that combustion first will take place, that heat then it will be transferred to the boiler. Internal means like I showed you previous image, in that shell only there will be fire and inside that only there will be water. So both will be separated. Then D is forced circulation and natural circulation of boilers. Forced circulation means some velocity will be imparted to the water. And natural circulation means when that hot water, so we all know that so whenever if I take suppose a bucket I will take or some vessel I will take, inside that there will be a water. If I start heating it, in that case what will happen? The hot water nearer to the base, it will go and it will rise up, it will come to the top. What happens here? The hot water, density of hot water is less, that is why it will come to the top, and the cold water it will settle to the bottom. So that way this circulation is being created. That what we refer it as a natural circulation. Then we have E, that is a high, medium, and low pressure boilers. So depending on the pressure inside the boiler, they are classified as high, medium, and low pressure boilers. Fire tube boilers are generally low pressure boilers, and water tube boilers are generally high pressure boilers. Stationary boiler and portable boiler. So stationary boiler means if you go to, like if I will show you some images. So these boilers are still like 3 storage buildings. So a whole building or that structure is being created for the boiler. So that are the stationary boilers. Portable boilers means like I showed you that image previously, that can be transported here and there. Last classification here it is single tube boilers and multi-tube boilers. So single tube means like there will be a tube, inside the tube there will be a water which will be flowing, outside there will be a fire or the heat is being provided. Okay. Multi-tube means there will be a tube, outside that tube another tube will be there, so there will be tube inside a tube. So here the water will flow and outside there will be a fire will be there at the outlet. Okay, so write down this classification. So in your university examination, this question is asked many times. Write down the classification, and out of that classification, they will ask you explain fire tube boilers, explain water tube boilers, or explain like any type or commercial application of boiler. Again, there will be theoretical questions as well as numerical questions from this chapter. If you're going for MCQ, in that case, I will provide you the MCQ booklet also. There are some formulas in this chapter that we'll also see. We'll try to solve that numericals also. So this chapter itself is another subject. Yeah, जो subject हा जो chapter आहे boiler, याच्यावर एक separate subject आणि एक separate commercial courses असतात. So people go and do the certification courses of 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 year. Then they get the certification. Then these certified people only will get the jobs related to the boiler. And boiler अशी गोष्ट आहे की ते हमखास मोठमोठ्या ज्या इंडस्ट्री आहेत, केमिकल इंडस्ट्रीज, पॉवर स्टेशन यामध्ये ते असते. For that, they need a technical person. The technical person should have certifications for the boilers. Okay, so though it has been confined here as a one chapter, its scope is very high or very huge. So first in that case, we'll see what is a fire tube boiler. We'll see what is a fire tube boiler. Okay, So it is a boiler in which the hot flue gases are present inside the tubes and the water surrounds these tubes. As fire is present inside the tubes, hence it is called as fire tube boiler. Okay. So I will show you the construction, then your idea about this boiler will be more clear. So see, there is this image. So at the bottom, there is this brick structure is there. So this is made up of brick. Then there is a furnace here. Heat is being generated. And to that furnace, these tubes are attached. So inside the tube, this fire or this flue gases will flow. These tubes are surrounded by the water. Now the heat transfer will take place from tube to the water. Then water will be converted into steam. That steam will be taken out. Okay. And these flue gases will transfer their heat to the water and they will be taken out from the other end. Okay, so very simple construction or the simple diagram is in front of you, but the actual construction is little bit or very much complicated. So please draw that diagram. So as the name suggests, fire will be inside the tube. So it is called as fire tube boiler. Water will surround it. Water will be converted into steam. The steam will be collected at the top. Okay. The steam produced by these boilers have pressure about 25 bar. That is why they fall under the category of low pressure boilers. Okay. So remember the figure here, 25 bar. The steam generation rate in these boilers are low, that is 9 tons per hour. Okay, 9 tons of steam will be generated per hour. For given power, the floor area required for steam generation is more and it is about 8 meters square per ton per hour. That means for given power, the floor area is more, right? So that means more area means what happens whenever there is a more area, there will be higher heat transfer. And as the higher heat transfer, more heat will be transferred. Okay. And more steam will be generated. So that area they have given 8 meters square. That means 8 meters square of tube area is available per ton of steam per hour. So this is about fire tube boiler. There is this animation will make your idea about the fire tube boiler very clear. So see there, this is a furnace here. Inside the furnace, coal is being burned. These flue gases will flow through the tubes and then it will be taken out. So flue gases will be taken out from here. And there is the water which will come in contact with the tubes. It will be converted into steam and that steam will be taken out. The erection and transportation of these boilers are not easy and this is because their parts cannot be separated. So generally a big part is being made by casting process and this cannot be separated. So that is why erection and transportation it is little bit tricky and not easy. The overall efficiency of fire tube boilers is about 75%. Now, what is meant by efficiency? So that means whatever input you are giving, out of that, how much is utilized for your desired output. So that is a general definition of any efficiency. Here in this case, that means whatever amount of heat generated QH, amount of heat generated here. How much part of it is utilized to generate the steam? So this is my output or my objective. So that is here mentioned as 75%. That त्याचा अर्थ काय जेवढी हीट इथं फर्नेस मध्ये तयार होते त्याच्या फक्त 75%च हीटचा वापर स्टीम साठी होतो. रेस्ट इज heat loss. Now, the direction of the water circulation is not well defined. That is, the definite part is not provided for the circulation of water. That means there is no force circulation is there. Water will absorb the heat. Then, as you know, like by natural convection, hot water will arise to the top. At the top, it will be converted into steam. The operating cost of this boiler is low. The bursting chance is less. The bursting produces greater risk to the damage of the boiler. It is not suitable for large power plants, but used in small power plants. So as that, it had some capacity limitations on steam generation. That is why it is used in low. It is used in small power plants. Okay, it is not suitable for large power plants. So this is about fire tube boilers. Next, we'll see water tube boilers. Okay. Next is water tube boiler. Okay, so here it is a water tube boiler. So as you can see here figure on the right side, it is different from what we have seen previously, fire tube boiler. So water tube boiler, it is a boiler in which water is present inside the tubes and the hot flue gases surround the tubes. In previous case in fire tube boiler, fire was inside the tube, flue gases were inside the tube and water was surrounding them. But in this case, water is inside the tube and flue gases are surrounding the tube. Since the water is present inside the tubes, hence these boilers are called as water tube boilers. So draw that diagram. As you can see here, there is a furnace. Then there is this pipe circuit. Inside the pipe, water is flowing. Then it is going to steam, and then steam is taken out. These hot flue gases are being taken out from this exhaust. Okay. High pressure steam is produced by these boilers. The pressure of the steam is about 165 bar. So see, in fire tube boiler, the value was only 25 bar. But in this case, the steam is produced up to 165 bar pressure. This boiler falls under the category of high pressure boiler. So fire tube is a low pressure boiler and water tube is a high pressure boiler. The steam generation rate in water tube boiler is high. That is a 450 tons per hour. See, in fire tube, that rate was only 9 tons per hour. But here, the rate is 450 tons per hour. So it is almost, how much percent it is more? It is about 500% more than the previous one. For a given power, the floor area required for the generation of steam in this boiler is less. That is a 5 meters square per ton per hour. That means less area. In less area, we can produce the same amount of steam. Previously, it was 8 meters square. In this case, it is a 5 meters square. म्हणजे काय याचा अर्थ काय तर 5 meters square एरिया लागतो 1 टन स्टीम तयार करायला पर आवर. Okay. Next here, the erection and transportation is easy as its parts can be separated. So their assembly is simple. They can be assembled, disassembled, then they can be transported. The overall efficiency of water tube boiler with the economizer is up to 90%. So see, in previous case, that efficiency was 75% only, but in this case, it is 90%. The direction of the water circulation is well defined. That is, a definite path is provided for the circulation of water. Okay, because the water, as it is flowing through the pipe, that means a definite direction is given to them. The operating cost is high, obviously, because number of parts are involved more here. The bursting chances is high because of its high steam pressure. So see, the pressure is about 145 bar inside the boiler. So 165, sorry. So because of the high pressure, chances of bursting म्हणजे फुटण्याचे, accident होण्याचे chances ह्या केस मध्ये जास्त असतात. The bursting does not cause any destruction to the whole boiler. So some provision is made even the burst occurs. The whole boiler cannot be devastated. So provision is being made, and it is suitable for large power plants. Okay, it is suitable for large power plants. So if I want to compare these two things, water tube boiler and a fire tube boiler, I can say that efficiency is more in water tube boiler, then less area is required for steam production, then water tube boiler is can be easily transported. Okay, but disadvantages or the demerits here, it is that operating cost is high compared to fire tube. Chances of bursting are more. Okay, so there will be a question always asked, that is give the difference between fire tube boilers and water tube boilers. So you have to give minimum 10 differences for that as an answer to that question. Now next there is another point is here, that is the factors affecting the choice of the boiler, but we can take this point at the end of the chapter. First we'll see what is the heat balance inside the boiler, how much amount of heat we add, how much amount of steam is generated, what is the heat balance sheet we have to draw for the boiler. So this heat balance sheet is very important. It is a standard procedure of calculating the performance inside the boiler. But I think this is sufficient for today's lecture. Lot of theory I have taken today. Next lecture we'll see the numerical part. So as a homework, I want you to go online search, or you can read the books for fire tube versus water tube boilers. And then you have to differentiate. So there will be numerous points will be here. Like here it is, efficiency is 75% efficient. Here it is 90%. Then here operating cost is low. Here that operating cost is high. So likewise, I want you to write down as many as differences as you can do. Ultimately, I am going to put this question also as for your assignment. That time also you have to write. So quickly I will take the revision of what we have studied in today's lecture. Okay, so those who came late, please see here. We are in this third chapter, performance of boilers. This was the syllabus. Then I told you that whenever we say thermodynamics deals with both power generation and refrigeration. So for power generation, we have various cycles: Carnot cycle, Otto cycle, diesel cycle. For refrigeration, we have VCC cycle, VAS cycle. Then we have seen how this steam is being produced. So we have seen that for 1 bar, the temperature is 100 degrees Celsius. But if I increase the pressure, let us say 25 bar, in that case, the temperature will be higher than 100 degrees Celsius. Here I have explained with the help of one phase change diagram. So before going to the actual part, that is the boiler, we studied the steam power plant. There are 4 major components involved here: boiler, turbine, condenser, and pump. Then we have seen the detailed schematic diagram here. This was the detailed schematic diagram. Then Rankine cycle, I have given you idea because you are going to study in chapter number 4, vapor power cycles, where you are going to solve various numericals related to the Rankine cycle. Okay. Then introduction part, I have given you what is the purpose or objective of a boiler, that is the steam generation and hot water production. Okay, so these are the applications. So numerous applications are there. Each application in represents a big industry. So if you go for, even if you go for plastic manufacturing, if you go for pharmaceutical industry, these are very big industries. Multi-billionaire millionaire companies are there. So they also require a boiler. Okay. And also I told you that this chapter, here it is one chapter, but it is a whole big subject, boiler. Okay. That also you can see. This is a one commercial boiler, here it is shown. Then we have seen the classification of boilers. Then I have showed you what is a fire tube boiler. Inside the fire tube boiler, what happens? Fire or the flue gases flow inside the tube and water surrounds them, right? This was a little animation for your better understanding. And then was the water tube boiler. Inside the water tube boiler, what happens? Water flows inside the tube and flame or the flue gases surround it. Right. So as a part of homework, I have given you this differentiate between fire tube and water tube boilers. So as a closing, I will show you one animation which is available on YouTube about fire tube boilers. This is a fire tube boiler. Its animation is being shown here. So there is boiler casing, water flows inside, so there is water inlet. Then there is a steam outlet at the top. There is this air draught fan. It supplies the air. So why air is needed? Only fuel is not sufficient. So you might have studied in IC engine. Only fuel is not sufficient. For fuel, it needs air or an oxidizer. Air is being supplied inside. Then there is a fuel line. Fuel is supplied inside. Air and fuel mixes together. Then they need some ignition or spark. Then combustion will take place. So see here, the combustion chamber is shown. This is a fan which will supply the flame. The flame is generated. So see here these flue gases. Now they are passed inside the tubes. So it is being passed through the tubes. Water is surrounding those tubes. Okay. So water is surrounding those tubes. water will gain the heat from the flue gases, and that water will convert into steam. Formation of steam above the water in the boiler. The steam is being produced. What it says, water level must be always above the pipes. So that level of water has to be maintained above the pipes. So that steam is taken out, see from the steam outlet, and this smoke out, that is exhaust for the flue gases. So likewise, there will be another video for water tube boiler. Inside the water tube boiler, the difference is the water will flow inside the tube and fire will be outside. Right? Okay. So if you have any doubts up to this point, you can ask. So just a minute, I will just make some corrections here, and then we can take the attendance.